Okay, so this is going to be an interesting video. We've been doing a bunch of cleaning and organizing in the shop, and came up with an idea for storing cutoff discs, sanding discs, flappers, Dremel tools, all that kind of stuff. And did a great video series on it, bunch of footage. Evidently, I set the camera to time lapse. So, part of this is going to be voiceover. I apologize for that. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So we cleaned up the shop. We got a new way to store tools. I don't know if anybody's ever thought of doing this, but it's something I decided to do, and I think it's gonna work pretty good. So let me show you what we did.
In cleaning up, one of the big organizational problems we had was dealing with all of the different sanding materials and media we use. As you can see on this table, we've got a lot of it. Anything from Scotch-Brite to Rolox pads, flat discs, cut-off wheels, you name it. Here we've got flat discs on a spindle. I've got sandpaper spindles that'll ride on an arbor, just all kinds of stuff, and we can't keep it organized. You can see we store it in these cardboard boxes. Here's another box full of stuff, and we just have no way of organizing it. So I'm trying to figure out what the best option is, and I've got some of these bins laying around, and I think we've come up with a way to use these with a slight modification to be able to sort all of these out and keep them organized.
So I don't know how many of y'all have these laying around. They used to be, you could pick these things up for about $1 a piece. Now they're, I don't know, Amazon's got them for $13 a piece, I think, right now, or something like that. It's crazy. But so I thought about it. It's like, man, these would be awesome, but they hang by that little hook right there, that lip, and you know, that thing's about 11 inches long, and that's a lot of weight hanging from that little bitty hook right there. So we came up with this idea. We're gonna make these brackets, and it's just some scrap angle iron that we had. We cut it down to size. We welded on some flat bar, drilled a couple of holes, bolted them in there, and that took care of it. So now, the last thing to do, we came in and we cut these slots right here, because this came all the way up, and I'll show you in a video. There's like handholds right here where your fingers can grab, so we ground those out, and now this will slide into that bracket. So let's go through the video I shot, and I'll answer any questions through voiceover.
All right, so the first thing we have to do on this bin, as you can see right here, these finger holds and the webbing, we kind of need to make it where those are smooth so that we can run a piece of metal along this edge. So we're going to cut those webs. As you just see here, we've cut them out. The finger holds are gone. The space for the webbing is gone. And so now we can run a piece of metal the full length of that track, and that tab right there is what's going to hold the container now.
All right, so there's the finished product. I'm cutting it, just running a piece of 1/4 inch through it to clean it up, and that should work fine. Now, you saw I'm wearing safety glasses. I'm wearing a 3M mask. You may want to wear a shirt because it does throw hot plastic out. It can burn you. But also, anytime you're doing it, I'm working without a guard on this one because I'm finding the guard gets in the way. But if you can, leave the guard on. The first one I did, I couldn't see how deep I was going, and I ended up cutting through the plastic. So you don't want to cut through the inside plastic, but if you can, try to work with the guard on. Don't be like me. Now the bends are cleaned off and they're trimmed, ready to go, so they're good to go. Now on to making the frame to hold them. And to do that, we're going to start with the bracket pieces that will attach to the bottom of the shelf. They are exactly 7 inches wide, and so we need 6 of those, one for the front, one for the back. And we're pulling that out of scrap metal that we have left over from the plasma table. So we're going to measure those out, cut 6 7-inch straps, and then we'll move on to the angle iron. So we've got all the parts cut as far as the strap goes. Now we need to cut the angle iron. Couple of things with this, the angle iron, we want to make sure that for each bucket we use the same dimensional material. So if we're using 1 inch angle on one side, we want to use 1 inch angle on the other. We don't want to use 1 inch on one side and 1.5 inches on the other. Now from bucket to bucket, we're using scraps. So the only thing is, are you okay with it kind of stair-stepping if you use a different dimension? Because it is going to drop it down just slightly depending on what dimensional material you use. I think we have enough of the same material to do them all the way across, so that's what I'm planning on doing. So we're going to get those measured out, we'll get them cut, we'll clean the parts up, weld them together, and go from there. I'm glad I mentioned that about the different dimensions. So I went back and looked, and I did not have enough of the 1 inch to do all of them. So we've got some 1.5 inches, and it'll work just fine. But so 2 of them will be with 1 inch material, 2 of them will be with 1.5 inches. But it is what it is. I can live with it. So we'll move on and clean these parts up, and then we'll get ready to weld. To start our layout, I've got one of the pieces of angle iron. It's flush with the edge of the table right here. I've got my speed square laid out, not T-square, speed square. And so now I know that this piece is perpendicular to this line. It's a correct 90. So the next step is going to be getting the second piece of angle iron. We'll lay it out 7 inches from outer edge to outer edge. Make sure it's flush with the edge of the table here. And then we can lay in our strapping pieces and get them tacked in place. Okay, so we're 7 inches from outer edge to outer edge. We are squared with the table. So, and we're flush, I don't know if you can see it, we're flush with the edge of the table there. So now we can put our strapping on. So I'm laying the strapping just slightly back from the edge and slightly back from the front edge as well. You can see there's kind of a over or bevel in there, so we can weld into that. So now we're ready to weld.
Here I've laid out the holes for the mounting brackets. I'm just drilling them, getting them ready to mount.
Well, there they are. So I could probably get, I don't know, 3 more up in there. And that'll work because that'll work for the Scotch-Brite. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So we'll see if we can get the rest of them done. I'm going to have to get some more of the bins. But I think it's a good way to store them. It'll keep them out of the way and keep them organized. All right, y'all. So that's a wrap. And like I said, there's still a little bit of work to do, but I got to get some more storage bins for it before we can move forward. But yeah, I think that'll work out, and it'll definitely help me out. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, thanks for all the new subscribers. Thank you for following along, commenting. I really appreciate it. Please hit the like notifications. That'll help all the YouTube stuff. You know how that works. But otherwise, I hope y'all are having a good time. God bless you. Be safe. See you on the next one.